the bracelet she kept for 11 years, and the man who already knew. She had promised herself she would never walk into this
What is the
hospital
meaning
like
of
she was
this?
begging to belong.
Get
Yet
back,
here
you
she
beast!
was, standing under the cold white lights of St. Elora Medical Center, holding a clipboard like it could protect her from the world's judgment, while a woman in designer heels looked
Hey
her
there,
up
little
and down
one.
like
Where did
she
you
was
come
a stain
from?
on the marble floor.
Easy now. You're safe here.
Housekeeping uses the service
That's it.
entrance. The woman
I'm
snapped,
here.
not
It's
even
okay.
bothering to
I
lower
know,
her
thank
voice. Maya Reyes didn't
love you.
flinch.
I love you too.
She didn't raise her voice either. She simply reached for the badge clipped to her coat, clean, pressed, and earned through a decade of sleepless nights. Dr. Maya Reyes, pediatric emergency. But the woman didn't look at the badge. She looked at Maya's
Hey,
cheap
it's me.
shoes,
I'm right here with you.
her brown skin, her
Just
tired
rest
eyes,
now. You're
the
safe.
faint accent she could never fully hide no matter how perfect her
Oh,
medical
hello
English
there.
was. Maya swallowed
You're
her
such good
humiliation like
company.
she'd swallowed it her whole life. I'm not housekeeping, she said calmly. The woman's mouth twitched. Oh, then why do you look like?
You shouldn't have
A
come here.
child's scream cut
I
through the
had to know
hallway.
the truth.
A real
Some
scream.
truths are
The
dangerous.
kind that
So am
turned
I.
everything else into background noise. Maya's body moved before her pride could. She ran. Inside the triage bay, a little boy was gasping for air, lips pale, eyes wide like he'd just learned what fear tasted like. His mother was sobbing, clutching his hand, begging anyone to help. A nurse stood frozen, fumbling with equipment, her hands shaking. Maya stepped in. Move, she said, firm but not cruel. The nurse blinked. Who are you? Someone who knows what she's doing. Maya's voice became a rope for everyone in the room.
You're such
She
a
checked
good
the boy's
kitty.
breathing, listened
I love
quickly,
these quiet
read
moments
the
with
panic
you.
in his chest like a language she was
As we
fluent
look to the
in.
future, adaptability
Nebulizer
is
now.
key. Take our friend
Oxygen.
here. He
Get
thrives
me
by being
respiratory.
flexible. We must
The
do the
nurse
same.
hesitated, until the boy's tiny body jerked with another desperate breath. Then she obeyed. Maya didn't look important. She didn't sound rich. She didn't have a famous last name that made people step aside. But the moment she spoke in that room, she became something else entirely. A lifeline. Within minutes, the boy's breathing steadied. His mother collapsed into a chair, crying into her hands like the world had almost taken her child and changed its mind at the last second. Gracias, the mother whispered, voice trembling. Maya's heart squeezed. She touched the woman's shoulder gently. He's okay. You did the right thing bringing him in. As she turned to leave, the same designer heel woman stood in the doorway, watching like she just witnessed a magic trick she didn't understand. Then the woman's eyes sharpened with recognition, not of Maya but of the hallway's sudden movement. Security. Nurses. A quiet panic. Clear the corridor, someone whispered. Maya's stomach tightened. Only one kind of patient made a hospital move like that. And then she heard it, a man's voice, low and controlled, cutting through the chaos like a blade. Where is the pediatric emergency physician? Maya looked up, and the past walked into the present. He was taller than her memory and somehow heavier too, like life had put stones in his pockets. His suit was expensive
What
in a
is the
way that
meaning
didn't
of
beg
this?
for attention. It commanded
Get back,
it.
you beast!
His jaw was rough with a day's stubble. His eyes were the same, steel gray, sharp enough to hurt. In his arms, a baby girl burned with fever, limp against his chest, cheeks flushed, lashes damp. The baby whimpered softly. The man's gaze locked on Maya like he'd been struck. For a second, just a second, the hospital disappeared. The fluorescent lights turned into summer sunlight. The hallway turned into a rooftop in Barcelona. A laugh, a kiss, a promise, and a bracelet. Maya felt it before she remembered it. The thin silver circle hidden under her sleeve, pressed against her skin like a secret that refused to die. She had kept that bracelet for 11 years. Because she never got to explain. Never got to defend herself. Never got to ask why the one person who knew her heart could believe the worst of her in a single night. The man's mouth tightened. He stared at her like her existence was an insult to reality. Maya, he said, her name breaking in his throat. She forced her face into professional calm. Sir. Put the baby on the exam bed. His eyes flicked to the baby, his anchor. He obeyed with stiff movements, like his pride wanted to fight but fatherhood wouldn't let it. Maya examined the baby quickly. Fever, rash, abdominal discomfort. The kind of symptoms that looked simple until they weren't. She asked questions without looking at him too long. What formula? How long? Any changes? His answers were clipped, but there was fear under them. Real fear. Not for himself. For this tiny human who trusted him with her whole existence. Maya identified the likely issue. A severe sensitivity, possibly milk protein allergy, maybe something infectious, but the pattern pointed to intolerance and inflammation. She ordered tests, changed the feeding plan, wrote clear instructions. All business. But when she reached for the baby's wrist to check perfusion, the baby's tiny fingers grabbed Maya's sleeve and tugged it down, just enough to expose the silver bracelet. The man froze. His eyes dropped to it and something in his face changed. Not shock. Not surprise. Recognition. Like he'd been looking for that exact thing. Maya yanked her sleeve back up, heart pounding. "It's none of your business," she said sharply. His voice came out rough. "You still have it." Maya's hands trembled, but she kept them busy, checking the baby, printing prescriptions, adjusting the chart, anything to avoid the truth rising in her chest like a tide. "I'm not here for your feelings," she said. "I'm here for your daughter." At the word daughter, his expression cracked. Not softened. Cracked. He looked down at the baby like she was the only reason he hadn't fallen apart already. "Her name is Leah," he
Hey
said
there,
quietly.
little one. Where did you come
"She's
from?
all I have."
Easy now.
Maya
You're safe
swallowed
here.
the sudden sting behind
That's
her
it.
eyes. She refused to let compassion become weakness. "Leah will be okay," Maya said. "But you need to follow this plan exactly. And she needs weekly follow-ups." He stared at her. Weekly follow-ups meant one thing: he'd have to see her again. And Maya hated that her heart reacted before her logic did. He took the papers, fingers brushing hers for the briefest moment, electric, painful, familiar. Then he said, almost like a confession he didn't deserve to make, "I know." Maya blinked. "Know what?" His eyes flicked to the bracelet again. "I know the truth." Maya's breath caught. "What are you talking about?" But before he could answer, Leah whimpered, and Maya moved automatically to soothe her. The moment snapped closed like a trap. He left with his baby and his storm of silence. Maya stood alone in the exam room, staring at the door as if it might open again and give her back the last 11 years. Outside, the designer heel woman from earlier whispered to a nurse, loud enough for Maya to hear. "Is she really a doctor? She doesn't look like one." Maya's jaw tightened. She had spent her whole life being judged by what people saw. But she had no idea what was
I know,
about to be
thank you.
revealed, because the man
love
who
you.
had once
I love you
destroyed
too.
her had not come back by accident. And the bracelet she'd kept for 11 years? It wasn't just a memory. It was evidence. They called her the Help. Until the hospital learned who she really was. By the next week, the hospital's gossip had already turned Maya into a rumor. Some said she was lucky to be there. Some said she was too intense. Some said her accent made parents uncomfortable. A senior resident, born into money and arrogance, laughed in the break room and called her the scholarship mascot. Maya pretended not to hear. Pretending was survival. But survival didn't protect her when Dr. Celeste Arden, the hospital's golden specialist, walked into Maya's follow-up clinic like she owned the air. Celeste smiled with polished teeth. "Maya, right? I just wanted to say, it's brave what you're doing." Maya frowned. "What I'm doing?" Celeste tilted her head. "Playing doctor in a hospital like this. I mean, pediatrics is emotional. A lot of people from, backgrounds like yours, can't handle it." Maya stared at her. Celeste's smile widened. "Don't take it personally. I'm just being honest." Maya's chest tightened. The old fear tried to rise. If you speak up, they'll punish you. If you defend yourself, they'll call you difficult. But then she remembered Leah's hot little body in her arms. The mother who whispered gracias. The boy who almost couldn't breathe. Maya leaned forward slightly. "Honesty without kindness is just cruelty wearing perfume," she said. Celeste blinked, then laughed as if Maya had made a joke. That was the thing about people like Celeste. They believed confidence belonged only to them. Later that day, Javier Hart returned. Yes, Javier Hart. Banking heir. Corporate legend. The man whose name made donors call back and administrators sweat. He entered the clinic holding Leah, who looked healthier, brighter eyes, calmer body, better skin. Javier's exhaustion was still there, but so was something else. Determination. Maya examined Leah carefully. Better weight. No fever. Rash fading. "Good," she said briskly. "You followed the plan." Javier hesitated, then said quietly, "I followed you." Maya didn't respond. If she did, her voice might betray her. Outside the clinic room, a nurse whispered to another, "That's Javier Hart. Why is he here?" "Probably making sure the staff doesn't mess up his baby." Then, as Maya stepped out to print follow-up instructions, Celeste Arden appeared again, this time with the hospital's director, Mr. Renshaw, a man who treated reputation like oxygen. Renshaw's gaze swept Maya's shoes, her hair, her face as if he was searching for a reason not to respect her. "Dr. Reyes," he said flatly, "we need to talk about your attitude." Maya kept her expression calm. "My attitude?" We've received complaints, Renshaw said, that you're abrasive, that you don't fit St. Alora's culture. Maya's stomach sank. Complaints were weapons. Culture was code. This wasn't about her work. Celeste crossed her arms. We all want diversity, she said
Hey, it's
sweetly,
me. I'm right here
but
with you.
professionalism matters.
Just
Maya
rest now.
inhaled
You're
slowly.
safe.
My patient outcomes. Renshaw cut her off. This isn't a debate. Inside the clinic room, Leah began to cry. Javier stepped out, carrying his baby, and the hallway changed temperature. Renshaw straightened. Celeste's smile sharpened. Mr. Hart, Renshaw said quickly, suddenly warm. What an honor. We pride ourselves. Javier's eyes went past them, straight to Maya. What's going on? He asked, voice calm but dangerously so. Renshaw laughed nervously. Just routine HR matters. Javier stared at Renshaw like he was an insect crawling on glass. You're threatening the doctor who saved my daughter. Celeste tried to step in. Mr. Hart, no one is threatening anyone. We're simply ensuring the
hello
staff
there.
meets. Javier turned his
such good
gaze to her,
company.
and she went quiet like her own confidence had been unplugged. Then Javier did something that made Maya's hands go cold. He looked at Renshaw and said clearly in a voice everyone could hear, I'm not here as a patient's parent. Renshaw blinked. What do you mean? Javier's jaw tightened. I'm here as the chairman of the Hart Medical Trust. The hallway froze. Maya felt her heart slam against her ribs. The Hart Medical Trust funded half this hospital. Equipment, wings, scholarships, salaries. People practically worshipped the trust's name. Renshaw's face went pale. Javier continued, voice steady. And I'm here because I've been reviewing where my money goes. Celeste swallowed. Mr. Hart. Javier lifted a hand. Stop. He looked at Maya. His eyes softened for half a second. Dr. Reyes, he said, would you like to tell me why the hospital director is trying to intimidate you in the hallway? Maya's throat tightened. She didn't want pity. She didn't want a savior. She wanted fairness. I just want to do my job, Maya said. Javier's gaze sharpened again. He faced Renshaw. Then let her, he said. Renshaw stammered. Of course. We fully support Dr. Reyes. There must have been a misunderstanding. Javier nodded once. Good. Then he leaned closer, voice low enough only Maya could hear. I told you, he murmured. I know the truth. Maya stared at him, breath shaking. Why now? Javier's eyes dropped to her sleeve again, like the bracelet lived there like a heartbeat. Because for 11 years, he said quietly, I believed a lie, and I've spent the last year proving it. Maya's skin went ice cold. A year?
You shouldn't have come here.
Javier's expression
I had
darkened.
to know the truth.
Yes,
Some truths
because
are
someone
dangerous.
came to me
So
with
am I.
evidence. Evidence tied to a silver bracelet I gave a girl I never stopped loving. Maya's mouth went dry. Javier exhaled. And Maya, the person who framed you is back in Madrid. Maya's knees almost betrayed her. Because there was only one person that could be. Mateo. The best friend who smiled like sunshine and hid poison in his hands. And suddenly Maya understood. This wasn't just a reunion. This was a reckoning. The truth came out. And the liars lost everything in one day. Mateo Alvarez returned to St. Alora like he belonged there. He walked the halls with a confident grin and a tailored coat, greeting doctors with charm, shaking hands with administrators, pretending he wasn't the reason Maya's life had once collapsed. He had rebranded himself as a philanthropic consultant, offering to bring elite donors to the hospital. Renshaw loved him instantly. Celeste admired him. People like them always did, because Mateo didn't look like a threat. He looked like success. Maya saw him from across the lobby and felt her blood turn to stone. The bracelet on her wrist suddenly felt heavier, like it carried every tear she'd swallowed in silence. Javier found her later, near the pediatric ward, face tense. You saw him, he said. Maya nodded, voice barely stable. He's here. Javier's jaw clenched. He thinks he's untouchable. Maya's hands shook. He destroyed me. Javier's eyes flashed with something like pain. No, I destroyed you. Because I listened to him instead of you. Maya looked away. She had survived without Javier's apology. But hearing it still hurt, because it proved he had always been capable of saying it and he simply hadn't. Javier swallowed. Maya, I'm going to fix this. Maya laughed once, bitter. You can't fix 11 years. Javier's voice went quiet. Then I'll start with today. That afternoon, St. Alora held a donor meeting in the glass conference hall, where rich people made decisions about poor people's lives. Renshaw smiled too widely. Celeste wore her best suit. Mateo stood at the front, presenting slides about efficiency, branding, and patient value. Maya wasn't invited. She was never invited. But she walked in anyway. Every eye turned. Renshaw stiffened. Dr. Reyes, this is a closed meeting. Maya's heart pounded, but she kept her voice steady. I have a patient safety report that affects pediatrics. Celeste scoffed. This isn't the time. Mateo smiled like a saint. Maya, wow. Still dramatic. Maya's stomach turned. Mateo continued gently for the room. I'm sorry you never moved on from the past. But maybe don't bring personal issues into. Javier Hart entered behind Maya. The room snapped into silence. He didn't sit. He didn't smile. He simply said, continue? Mateo's grin faltered for a fraction of a second. Javier, good to see you. I didn't know you were attending. Javier's eyes were cold. I'm not attending. I'm auditing. Renshaw's face drained of color. Javier nodded toward Maya. Dr. Reyes, speak. Maya stepped forward and placed a folder on the table. This hospital has been denying low-income families certain treatment options, she said, voice controlled. Not because they're medically unnecessary. Because they're not cost-effective. A few board members shifted uncomfortably. Maya continued. In pediatrics, that's not efficiency. That's discrimination based on income. Renshaw snapped, that's a serious accusation. Maya looked straight at him. It's documented. Celeste cut in sharp. Maya, you don't understand how hospitals. Javier lifted a hand. Celeste went silent. Maya opened the folder and slid copies across the table. Denials. Emails. Comments like, these families don't donate. Not our priority. Renshaw's hands trembled. Mateo leaned back, still trying to look amused. This is messy, Maya. You always were. Javier's voice sliced the air. Enough. He stood and placed his own file on the table. This, Javier said, is an internal investigation into misuse of trust funds. Renshaw's eyes widened. What? Javier looked at Mateo. Mateo's smile strained. Javier, come on. Javier opened the file and turned it so everyone could see. Transactions. Fake invoices. Consulting fees. A pipeline of hospital money routed into shell accounts. Mateo's eyes sharpened. You're accusing me? Javier's voice stayed calm. I'm confirming you. Mateo laughed too loudly. This is insane. Javier nodded once. It would be, if I didn't have proof. Then Javier turned to Maya. Maya, he said softly, show them. Maya's breath shook. She pulled up her sleeve. The silver bracelet caught the light like it had been waiting for this moment. People leaned forward, confused. Maya's voice trembled, but she didn't stop. 11 years ago, this bracelet was given to me by Javier. It has an inscription inside. She removed it carefully and placed it on the table. She turned it so the words could be read. Truth always returns. Then Maya pointed to a tiny notch in the clasp. There's a micro slot. It was custom. Renshaw blinked. A slot. Javier's voice was steel. A micro drive. Mateo's face changed, fast. The charm slipped. The mask cracked. Maya continued, voice steadier now. Mateo didn't just ruin my relationship. He stole research I developed in college. Research that later became a patented pediatric formula adjustment. I was accused of cheating. I lost my scholarship. My reputation. Her eyes burned. And I kept this bracelet because it was the only thing that reminded me I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't the monster they made me. Javier plugged the microdrive into the room's system. A video appeared. Mateo, 11 years younger, laughing into a phone camera. I sent him the fake message, Mateo said in the video, smug. He'll dump her. She'll disappear. And the research is mine. The room went dead silent. Celeste's mouth fell open. Renshaw looked like he might faint. Mateo stood abruptly. That's fake. Javier's gaze didn't move. It's authenticated. Mateo's eyes darted toward the door. Security stepped in. Renshaw stammered, Mr. Hart, please? Javier turned his cold eyes toward Renshaw. And you? You've been helping him hide misused funds to keep your image clean. Renshaw swallowed. No. Javier slid another paper forward. Signed approvals. Emails. A pattern. Maya's heart pounded like thunder. Mateo backed away, voice rising. This is a setup. Maya is manipulating. Maya looked at him with quiet strength. No, Mateo. This is just what happens when the truth stops waiting. Security escorted Mateo out. He didn't look powerful anymore. He looked like what he always was, a coward who relied on people's assumptions. Celeste sat frozen, cheeks pale. She had built her identity on superiority, until she realized she had supported a thief. Renshaw's hands shook. "We can fix this. We can." Javier's voice was calm and final. "No. You can face consequences." And then Javier did something Maya never expected. He turned to the board and said, "Effective immediately, Dr. Maya Reyes will lead pediatric emergency reform and sit on the oversight council." The room erupted into murmurs. Maya stood stunned. Javier looked at her, eyes heavy with regret. "You should have had power here from the start." Maya's voice came out cracked. "You didn't believe me." Javier nodded. "I know." And for the first time in 11 years, he didn't try to defend himself. He simply let the truth hurt him. Because he deserved it. She didn't need revenge. But justice found her anyway. News spread fast, because when powerful people fall, everyone suddenly remembers how many times they were cruel.
You're
Renshaw
such a
was
good
removed
kitty.
pending
I
investigation.
love these quiet moments
Donors
with
withdrew
you.
support from his allies. Policies were reviewed. Families who had been quietly denied care were contacted, apologized to, and scheduled. Not because the hospital grew a conscience overnight, but because consequences finally arrived. And Maya saw something she had waited her whole life to see. People who once dismissed her now stood when she entered the room. Not out of genuine respect at first. Out of fear. And Maya hated that too, because fear wasn't the world she wanted. Respect was. So she rebuilt the system the way she wished someone had rebuilt her life when she was 18. She created a patient dignity protocol, requiring staff training on bias, language access, and compassionate communication. She started an anonymous reporting system for discrimination. She made sure no parent was treated like a burden just because they didn't wear expensive clothes. Some staff resisted. One doctor muttered, "This is too political." Maya replied calmly, "No. This is medical. Because dignity affects health." Slowly things changed. But the hardest part wasn't reforming a hospital. The hardest part was Javier. He came to every Liao appointment. Always respectful. Always careful. Always carrying guilt like it was stitched under his skin. One evening, after clinic hours, Maya found him sitting in the empty waiting area, Leah asleep against
As we
his
look to
shoulder.
the future,
"You're
adaptability is
early,"
key. Take
Maya
our friend
said.
here. He thrives
Javier's
by being
voice was
flexible.
quiet.
We must do the
"I
same.
didn't come for the appointment." Maya's chest tightened. "Then why are you here?" Javier looked up, eyes raw. "Because I owe you the apology I should have given you 11 years ago, before your life had to become strong just to survive what I did." Maya stared at him. For a moment she saw the boy he used to be, the one who gave her a bracelet and promised truth mattered. Then she saw the man he became, the one who believed a lie because it was easier than asking questions. Javier swallowed. "I was proud. And I was weak. I thought love meant control. So when Mateo showed me that fake message, I chose anger because it protected my ego." His voice cracked. "You tried to reach me. I blocked you. I punished you without a trial." Maya's throat burned. "I begged you to listen." Javier nodded, tears shining in his eyes. "And you didn't deserve that. Not for 1 second." Silence sat between them like a third person. Maya's hands shook. "Do you know what that did to me?" Javier's voice was a whisper. "I'm starting to." Maya laughed bitterly. "I spent years thinking I wasn't worth defending. Because the person who loved me most treated me like I was disposable." Javier flinched like she'd struck him. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm sorry for every day you had to carry that alone." Maya stared at Leah, sleeping peacefully, warm and safe. Then she looked back at Javier. "You did one right thing," she said quietly. "You didn't protect yourself today. You protected the truth." Javier nodded, desperate. "I don't expect forgiveness. I needed you to know I see you. Not as a memory. Not as a mistake. As a woman who became extraordinary." Maya felt tears rise, hot, stubborn, unwanted. And then she said the thing she never thought she'd say. "I didn't keep this bracelet because I was waiting for you." Javier's face tightened. "I kept it," Maya continued, "because I was waiting for the world to prove I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't what you called me." Javier nodded, voice shaking. "You were never what I called you." Maya exhaled slowly. "I know." That was the first time she said it without pain. Weeks later, Maya launched a pediatric support fund for low-income families, covering formula alternatives, transportation vouchers, and emergency supplies. She named it quietly without publicity. But the hospital staff found out anyway. It was called the Silver Bracelet Fund. When a nurse asked why, Maya simply said, Because sometimes one small thing reminds you who you are when the world tries to rename you. Javier donated, quietly, consistently, without turning it into a performance. One day, Celeste Arden approached Maya in the hallway, eyes tired, pride stripped away. "I was wrong," Celeste said quietly. Maya didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She simply nodded. "Yes." Celeste swallowed. "I treated you like you didn't belong here." Maya's voice stayed calm. "You treated me like my worth depended on your approval." Celeste looked down. "How do you move past that?" Maya glanced toward the pediatric ward, toward children who didn't care about status, only about whether you showed up with kindness. "You move past it," Maya said, "by learning to respect people before life forces you to." That was Maya's victory. Not revenge. Not humiliation. A world that learned. And on the day Leah turned 1, Javier invited Maya to a small gathering. No cameras, no donors, no spotlight. Just family, a cake, and a baby who giggled when Maya kissed her forehead. After everyone left, Javier stood beside Maya at the balcony, city lights breathing in the distance. He didn't touch her. He didn't ask for anything. He simply said, "If you ever choose to trust me again, it will be on your terms." Maya looked at him for a long time. Then she reached into her pocket and placed the bracelet in his hand. Not as a surrender. As a statement. "I'm not giving you my past," she said. "I'm giving you a chance to earn the future." Javier's eyes filled. He closed his fingers around the bracelet like it was holy. And for the first time Maya felt something shift inside her. Not the return of old love. But the birth of something healthier. Something built on truth.